Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Info Day session on topics in Destination 3 entitled Tackling Diseases and Reducing Disease Burden. My name is Grzegorz Owsianik and I'm team leader for non-communicable diseases in DG RTD. And I'm responsible for this Destination 3 topics, which we are planning in 2026. So together with me in the studio, connected online, are my colleagues from DG RTD, DG HERA, and DG Santé. So I will present my colleague, Policy Officer Tim Ramakers, my colleague, Policy Officer Julia Molto, my colleague, Policy Officer Tariq Derouk, Policy Officer from Santé, my colleague Yvette Azopardi, and also my colleague from DG HERA, Policy Officer Christian Wimmer. So before we go to the question and answer session, I will shortly introduce the topics which we plan in 2026. May I have a slide, please? So in Destination 3, we have 5 research and innovation actions and 1 coordination and support action. So regarding the research and innovation action, we have a topic, Disease 02, innovative intervention to prevent the harmful effects of using digital technologies on the mental health of children and young adults. Topic, Disease 03, advancing research on the prevention, diagnosis, and management of post-infection long-term conditions. Topic, Disease 04, development of novel vaccines for viral pathogens with epidemic potential. Topic, Disease 09, multi-sectoral approach to tackle chronic non-communicable diseases, implementation research, maximizing collaboration and coordination with sectors and in settings beyond the healthcare systems. This is a topic under the umbrella of GACD. And topic, Disease 11, understanding of sex and or gender-specific mechanisms of cardiovascular diseases, determinants, risk factors, and pathways. And last but not least, the coordination and super action topic, Disease 15, scaling up innovation in cardiovascular health. So before we move to the questions which you will send via Slido, so you will see on the screen the QR code that you can use. If you still would have asked further questions, you can always send these questions through the network of national contact points or use a so-called research inquiry service. And the links to these 2 possibilities you have on the website. Also, when you will present your question in Slido, please use the topic code that we can clearly identify to which topic your question is asked. Okay, so I propose that with no further ado, we can start now the question and answer session. So I see already that we have some questions in Slido. So the first question is for topic Disease 02. The topic mentions both digital and innovative intervention, creating uncertainty about the scope. Could you clarify whether non-digital or hybrid digital, non-digital approaches are eligible? So this question is for Tim, who is a principal drafter of this topic.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So the topic, it concerns the development and testing of innovative digital interventions, and these interventions are aimed at counteracting addictive design patterns, gaining insights into risk patterns, enabling early risk detection, and redirecting users towards, for example, a healthier use and engagements with digital technologies. So, these examples are given under the second bullet point in the scope, or the second requirement in the scope. Now, it does not rule out that we can have non-digital components in addition to the primary digital intervention. And if there are such components, applicants would need to sufficiently justify it in the proposal.
Thank you, Tim. So we have the second question is also for a topic DZ02. May proposal focus on specific subgroups of children or young adults, or are intervention expected to cover years from 0 to 24? Are there any specific age groups that must be included?
Okay, so yeah, it is it's a broad range for 0 to 24. It's covering or it's targeting children which are defined as under 18 and young adults which we've defined as 15 to 24. So it's 0 to 24. But the topic is rather flexible from the perspective of age groups. So you can focus on specific subgroups. And here too, the applicant would need to provide a sufficient justification why they're targeting a specific subgroup. And this could, of course, be, for example, that they're involving a specific, a cohort of a specific age range. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. So we have another question to topic DZ04. Does the call expect the full execution of the phase 1 clinical trial within the scope, or is the GMP manufacturing of the candidate vaccine considered sufficient as enabling clinical work? The question is for Christian. Please, Christian.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. So in reply to this question, the proposal, the topic stresses that proposals should address all of the following research areas, and one of the research areas listed is first-in-human clinical safety studies, which is a typical component of a phase 1 study. So it is ultimately the duty of the evaluators to determine the lack of mandatory elements in a proposal and to what degree this absence impacts the final score. Over.
Christian. So next question is also for your topic, DZ04. So the novel vaccines and contrasting existing vaccines are mentioned in this topic. Please clarify novel versus existing vaccine and how this relates to the novel existing vaccine antigens or novel existing vaccine platforms.
Well, the overall structure of this topic is to invite for advanced candidates to be further developed into the early clinical phase, at least into phase 1. So, of course, when we talk about a novel vaccine, there's no real discrepancy to when then we talk about an existing candidate, because until the full R&D is accomplished, this is still considered to be a candidate. Of course, it is supposed to be a novel vaccine. So the fact that a candidate is already went up the TRL ladder does not disqualify this candidate as novel. Over.
Thank you, Christian. So the next question is for topic DZ03, so it's for Tariq. What is the expected TRL level for the project submitted to the topic DZ03?
Sorry, I'm unsure about the TRL. What is meant by TRL? If that can be specified. Sorry.
So maybe we will ask the people in the audience if they want.
But as far as I understand, including an animal model is not it does not impede the evaluation of the proposal. We do have an ethics committee that evaluates proposals afterwards. So as long as the clinical studies template is correctly filled in and everything is correctly spelled out as to how you are using this animal model, I don't see that there should be a problem. But as mentioned, we will double check and we'll create a frequently asked questions for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. So the next question is for topic disease 02. Are retrospective and prospective clinical studies in scope? Are clinical trials, like sponsored studies, in scope of this topic? Tim, question for you.
Yeah, so the topic does mention that cohort studies and clinical studies are in scope. It further specifies, longitudinal cohort studies requiring a sustainability plan and to make also use of existing cohorts. So clinical studies are in scope, and as long, so clinical studies, clinical trials are in scope, but just ensure that all the requirements in the scope section are fully addressed. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question is for topic disease 03. So it's for Tariq. Are HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis in scope? They seem to be considered chronic infectious disease in the past in case of Horizon 2020 topics in the Societal Challenge 1 pillar for in 2026, 2016, 2017. Could you please confirm?
No, indeed, just to confirm that, yes, HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis are in the scope of this call and the long-term consequences of these infectious diseases. Indeed, they are part of the call. Thank you.
So the next question is for topic disease 09. So I will answer this question. Is a given country listed in the World Bank as upper middle country considered under the low and middle income country group? So what we presented in the topic and we gave the reference is the reference to the World Bank. So simply the applicants have to check to which category the given country belongs. And if this belongs to the low and middle income countries based on the World Bank classification, this is what is considered low and middle income country. Next question is for topic disease 11. For the SSH requirement, so social science and humanities requirement, would the involvement of researchers working on the occupational psychosocial determinants of disease be considered sufficient SSH integration for disease 11 call? So Julia.
Thanks for the question. So involvement of researchers working on occupational psychology determinants of disease could indeed contribute to fulfilling the SSH requirement for this topic, as psychosocial factors are key in understanding the broader determinants of health, including for CVDs. In any case, the SSH integration requirement does aim to involve a broader set of SSH experts that go beyond one discipline if possible. But in any case, this will be evaluated by the experts when reviewing the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. So next question to topic disease 04. So Christian, for you. So there is a quotation. The proposed work should aim to advance the development of vaccine candidates targeting exclusively one of the following viruses. Does that mean that the cross-protective vaccines are out of scope?
The answer is no. So this topic lists a number of viruses to be addressed. and it includes what we call the portfolio approach. This means proposal have to identify one of these viruses to be the sort of characteristic virus for a proposal. But of course, there is no statement in the topic that would prevent applicants also to aim for broader acting vaccines. Over.
Thank you, Christian. So the next question, topic disease 02, Tim. Are projects expected to focus on understanding the impact of digital technologies or the impact of digital content on mental health?
Okay, I'm just looking into this to focus on understanding the impact of digital technologies or the impact of digital content. Well, it's I think it's a mix of both, because it's studying these potential harmful effects of using digital technologies on the mental health of children and young adults, and digital content is obviously a key component if we're thinking about social media or gaming. And I can say, for example, under the expected outcomes, so that the project results need to be directed to specific expected outcomes. And it's also mentioned that content developers are provided with a robust evidence base on the impact of digital technologies on mental health in children and young adults. So as I see it, it's a combination of using the technology, and also the content is I would consider a part of the use of these digital technologies. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question, disease 11. So Julia, is looking at pregnancy enough to justify the sex-related view? Or is it necessary to do the comparison between sexes, genders?
Clarify what proposals should address, but it does state that proposals should address most of the following aspects, and there's 4 bullet points in this topic that you should have a look at. The word most is quite important here. You might not address all of them, and the proposal could still be considered for funding. So for you to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. So question for Christian, disease 04 topic. Flaviviride, tick-borne encephalitis virus, TBEV, is not listed anymore in the call text. TBEV is a pandemic disease without vaccine. Any specific reason for moving it out from this call?
Well, here we discuss the work program for 26-27 and in the final version. So the approach we are taking to develop the work program is over a number of years. So here I has identified 12 priority virus families. And one of our objectives was to offer funding opportunities for each of these families with regard to vaccines, to antibodies, to antivirals, and to diagnostics. So, and all in all these viruses are covered. And the current work program focuses on 8 specifically identified priority viruses. And these are the viruses where proposals are invited for. Over.
Thank you, Christian. So the question for topic disease 03, Tariq, for you. And this question concerns the clinical trial. It is written that the pharmacological intervention, they should be phase 1 or 2, but in case of repurposing, it should be a different phase. Would this be acceptable?
Yes, indeed. I mean, early stage clinical trial is mentioned, but I mean, it is understood that for repurposing drug, phase 3 trials would be accepted, you know, in the proposal. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tariq. So next question for Tim, topic disease 02. Is there a limit on the number of consortium partners? Is there a limit on the number of participating chair professorships within one university? So it's a very general question, Tim.
Yeah, yeah. So indeed, this is like probably a more cross-cutting question. But so is there a limit in number of consortium partners? I don't think there is a limit on the number of consortium partners. Yeah, it just has to be, you know, feasible and yeah, manageable via the coordinator. And then on the second part of the question, is there a limit on the number of participating chairs or professorships within one university? This is one thing I'm not so very sure about. This is comes down more to having a look at the eligibility criteria, which is probably mentioned in the work program a bit higher up towards the start of the work program and maybe in the introduction area. Yeah, so yeah, I would need to look into that, but it's without a doubt defined in the work program or in an annex.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is for topic disease 09, so I will answer. Out of scope notice includes epidemiological cohorts. Does this apply to retrospective evaluation of patients' data to analyze some risk factors? So what is creation of new cohorts, no, within the proposals sent to this topic? So the use of the data from, you know, retrospective.
Yeah. So the scope text, it defines, you know, to develop and test digital interventions to promote a positive and responsible use of them to improve mental health or to avoid, you know, the development or exacerbation of mental disorders. So the answer is that you can focus indeed on avoiding the development or exacerbation of mental disorders. So prevention, yeah.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is for the topic disease 09, so I will answer. Call announcement states, proposals under this topic are expected to include clinical studies. The use of the template is strongly encouraged. Is it the hard requirement to include clinical study under this call or not? This is not the hard requirement, so it's up to the consortium and the proposed work whether such a clinical study is relevant or not. This is an implementation research topic. So if there is no need to plan the clinical study under this topic, this is, you know, the choice of the applicant. So we move to the next question. So the question to topic disease 03. So Tariq, for you. Does complementary in this topic means that the number of the consortium must already be involved in the related proposal, or is the call generally open to entirely new applicants and consortia?
Thank you. No, it is not. I mean, it is indicated that proposal should be complementary or to other ongoing EU initiatives, but it is not a requirement that the applicant or the consortium applying is also a member of another proposal. Over.
Thank you, Tariq. So next question to topic disease 04, Christian. The viruses addressed in this call are particularly endemic in Argentina, Asia, and America. So are institutions based in these countries, regions, eligible for funding under this call?
Thank you, Greg. Yes, they are. So the topic explicitly states that participation of participants in countries where these viruses are endemic is encouraged. And this clause allows these countries not only to contribute to a proposal, but also makes them eligible for EU funding. Over.
Thank you, Christian. So, question to topic disease 11. So, Julia, as the title reads, understanding of sex and or gender specific mechanism of cardiovascular diseases, will the proposal be penalized if they only consider sex or gender?
Thanks for this question. No, a proposal would not be penalized for focusing only on sex or only on gender, provided that the choice is clearly justified and well aligned with the research objectives. The wording of the topic title explicitly refers to sex and or gender specific mechanisms, which intentionally allows for studies focusing on biological sex differences, gender-related determinants, or integrated approaches addressing both. But what's very important from an evaluation perspective is that the proposal is conceptually clear about whether it addresses sex, gender, or both, and that the chosen perspective is methodologically sound, meaningful for CVDs, and that it clearly contributes to the expected outcomes of the topic. If the proposal will focus only on one dimension, it should explain why this is appropriate for this disease area, for the population, data, mechanisms of study, and how this focus will still deliver added value for understanding of CVDs. So in short, both approaches are acceptable, and proposals will be assessed on their excellence, their impact, and their implementation, not on a mandatory requirement to cover both sex and gender. Thanks.
Thank you, Julia. So next question to Tariq, topic disease 03. In this topic, proposals must complement previously funded projects while remaining sufficiently innovative. Is it mandatory to form a consortium with partners from related calls or to exchange information with them?
Thanks. Another related question to the previous one. I think yes. What is mentioned in the call for proposal is that the applicant to this call try and seek collaboration with other initiatives that are related to the same topic. It is not requested or mentioned that the consortium that there needs to be formal collaboration established with an existing project. However, the call for proposal indicates that plans for collaborations should be is desired to be mentioned in the application. So it is strongly encouraged to have a look at the ongoing project or former project and try and establish collaboration. Thank you, Over.
Thank you, Tariq. So questions for team, topic disease 02. Are there any specific digital technologies that are particularly targeted or should be, or are any explicitly excluded?
Yes, so I think the topic text doesn't specifically define any technologies. You can get an indication of which kind of technologies that we're talking about, because it says it's open to address any mental disorder caused or aggravated by the use of digital technologies such as addiction. And in this case, you can think about social media, gaming platforms, other technologies such as, the use of technologies resulting in addiction or self-harm behavior or increased anxiety or decreased self-esteem, sleeping disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders. So The topic is from that aspect very broad and open, and yeah, what I just mentioned is just gives you an indication of which technology could fit, but does not specifically exclude any technologies. Over.
Thank you, Tim. So we are still looking for new questions, so please don't hesitate to send them to us through Slido. Okay, so we have already new questions. So question to the DZ02, Tim. You are very popular with your topic. So to what extent does the call focus on the therapeutic approaches?
Yeah, well, okay, it's the title also gives you a very good indication. So it's an innovative intervention to prevent the harmful effects of using digital technologies. Of course, you can also like reduce you could show indications of a certain mental disorder, and whether it be addiction, and you may want to sort of like come up with a strategy to prevent it getting worse. So this could be like considered like a therapeutic strategy. So as long as you're aiming at as long as the digital intervention is aimed at preventing self-harm, preventing preventing an aggravation of the mental health of a mental disorder or a mental health problem, let's say. Then then it's in scope. So let me just come back. So to what extent does the call focus on therapeutic approaches? It's more directed to prevention, prevention and reducing the exacerbation. Yeah, let's say that. That's then, and if if there are dimensions that the applicant would like to further dive deeper into, it should just sufficiently be justified in the proposal and align with or fulfill or address all of the objectives that are mentioned, all in the scope. Yeah. Over.
Thank you, Tim. So next question for me for topic DZ09. Does this topic allow to target preventive intervention? So in this topic, we included in the footnote the list of, say, a proposal which are ideas.
Yeah, well, it's not specifically excluded in the call topic, and as long as it's not excluded in the topic text, then I believe there's room for that to happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. So next question for Tariq, topic DZ03. Can United States continue to be partner in the consortium?
I guess this is a general question, so I'm unable to answer this one. Maybe Greg, you can support me on this one. I wouldn't be able to answer.
So concerning the participation of US entities, this I think it was clearly answered this morning. But then in the topic conditions, there is a clear indication whether they are eligible or not eligible for the specific topic. In principle, for most of the topics, almost all topics in cluster health, the US participation, US participants are eligible. So then we move to the next question. Is the topic disease 02. So what Okay, participation of startups and SMEs is encouraged. It should be or not to be ultimately required in this topic.
Okay, so this is, I guess, for me.
Yes, it's for you. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is in fact a general, let's say, statement that you find along many of the core topics, and so it's not. So it's as it's written, it's encouraged. So it's not a requirement, but it's encouraged to. Or let's say it's highly encouraged, in fact, to involve startups and or micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. With the aim to strengthen the scientific and technological basis and valorize their innovations and to advance commercial exploitation. And this is also very much in line with, the general. The general aim of promoting, the innovation in Europe.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is also for you, disease 02. Should early childhood, kindergarten age be considered in this topic?
So early childhood, this kindergarten age is certainly in scope because we have the target of children, which according to WHO and UNICEF definition falls on under 18. So we have the range from 0 to 18. And it is possible to choose a specific subgroup or sub-age group, as long as it's justified and it's aligned with our research objectives here. So this may be considered. Childhood, kindergarten age may be considered. Over.
Thank you, Tim. So next question to topic disease 04, Christian. Is for this topic important to consider a One Health approach, as most of these viruses are transmitted by wild animals?
Well, the One Health approach has a preventive component. While in this topic, we are aiming for advanced vaccine candidates, or the vaccine candidates that have already been developed to a certain extent to move the development further to phase 1. So I cannot see a link to the One Health approach in this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. So, question to topic disease 02, Tim, for you. Would leveraging the potential of DT also imply digital technologies? This is abbreviation probably used by someone who asked this question. Also imply developing educational interventions?
Yes. So certainly the educational area is very important here, and if you have a look at the expected outcome, so where the project results need to be directed to, it does mention that policymakers, digital technology developers, and educational institutions make use of the evidence base and implement the newly developed interventions. So working on digital interventions in the educational setting is certainly relevant. Yes, over.
Thank you, Tim. Next question, topic disease 11. So Julia, for you. Have proposal focusing on the rare diseases less chances, even if the applied approach may represent a template for future investigation of more common diseases?
Okay, thank you for the question. So proposals focusing on rare cardiovascular diseases would not automatically have fewer chances of being funded as long as their relevance to the topic's objectives are clearly demonstrated. So what matters most for this topic is whether the research contributes to the understanding of sex and or gender specific mechanisms, determinants, risk factors or pathways of CVDs. and whether it generates knowledge models or approaches that can improve prevention, diagnostics or treatment strategies. So proposals focusing on rare disease can be acceptable if the proposal convincingly shows that the disease provides insight into the sex and gender specific cardiovascular mechanisms, and that these findings can be transferred or applied to more common cardiovascular diseases. In short, a rare disease per se, it's not a disadvantage in this topic, but what matters is really demonstrating the relevance and the expected impact of the work. Thanks.
Thank you, Julia. So there was, I think, the follow-up question for this topic. Are rather widespread diseases like atherosclerosis in the focus of the call? So I think you answered already this question. Okay, so let's move to the next question. So the question to topic disease 09. So I will answer this question. May a partner from a country, low and middle income country, out of Horizon 20 associated countries take part in the implementation research? First, we are here for Horizon Europe. So Horizon 2020 was our former framework program. So I think this is maybe a small mistake while considering this question. Yes, countries from low and middle income country settings can be a part of the research presented in the proposal, of course. So next question, disease 03. So this question is for Tariq. Would a treatment that has already completed or entered phase 2 clinical trial for a different indication be considered eligible under this topic if clinical trials have not yet started for a long-term infectious disease?
I mean, try and provide a simple answer to a complex question. I think the topic call mentions repurposing of drug. Okay, so meaning drugs who did not necessarily have a primary indication for the long-term condition on the investigation. My answer would be yes, as long as evidence indicates that there is possible efficacy of this drug for one of the long-term condition that is being discussed or studied as part of this call. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you, Tariq. Next question, topic disease 02. Can the intervention be developed as part of the call, or do they need to be established?
Yes, so I think with established, I think they mean, I interpret that as being, implemented and tested. So certainly, yeah, it needs to go further than developing them, because one of the points is also that, and it's clearly defined as a scope requirement to assess the changes in behavior in children and young adults of the newly developed intervention aimed at fostering the resilience. So not only should this evidence base be found, it should the digital intervention that needs to be developed, and it should be implemented and tested. Yeah, over.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is also for you, topic disease 02. Does the Commission expect interventions targeting specific platforms, like for example, social media, gaming, or is a broader ecosystem approach preferable?
Well, yes. So the topic is rather open from that perspective. It's not defining specific areas or platforms. It's maybe I mean, some of them are maybe more evident than others, but I think if you're taking a broader ecosystem approach, this is this is acceptable, but would of course need to be fully justified, and one would certainly need to ensure that that all the requirements are met. Over.
Thank you, Tim. So the question to topic D09. If all partners of the project are from high-income countries and implemented in high-income countries, but specifically targets only the elderly, would it be considered eligible in terms of the consortium structure? So there are two things. The first thing is the scope of the research, which is clearly indicated in the topic. So normally the research should be proposed in low and middle income country settings and or for disadvantaged population in high income country settings. And no, the choice of the population and the intervention, etc., has to be duly justified in the proposal. Then the consortium structure. The consortium structure for the eligibility of submitting proposals has a specific requirements of a certain number of the applicants, including those from partners, including those from the member states, also associated countries, third countries, etc. So in principle, if there is a research which is proposed in the certain country settings, it should have the right number of the partners from this country settings. So we have the next question to topic disease 02. Can the project build on the complemented studies and ongoing intervention within the consortium and extend them, or do both the studies and the intervention need to be entirely novel? Tim, it's for you.
Yeah. Certainly they can build on existing studies, and in fact, the topic text also, for example, mentions they should make use of existing cohorts data when available. And I'm just having a look at the question. So, can it build on the completed studies and ongoing interventions within the consortium and extend them? Certainly make use of the completed studies and build on existing cohort study data. And they can, of course, also be novel. Yeah. Over.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is also for you. So topic DZ02. The scope includes both intervention and neurobiological evidence. Should this be weighted equally, or should the neurological component play a more supporting role for the intervention?
Okay, so so on the one hand, it's generating the evidence, so the neurobiological and cognitive behavioral evidence on the correlation or the impact of the digital technology on mental health, including brain development. So that's on the one hand is generating this evidence base, and on the other hand, it's developing interventions that can sort of like mitigate the effects or the impacts. So should these be weighted equally, or should the neurobiological component play a more supporting role? I think that this should be seen together in the sense that you need a very good evidence base before that the intervention can be developed. Over.
So I think we are coming to the end of the session, so we will maybe answer the last question now. So this is also the question to your topic, Tim, disease 02. Are there any specific ages required for this call? Also, is it necessary for the intervention to be digital?
Yeah, so the topic text defines the age range for the young adults as 15 to 24, and the children as any age below 18. So we have this age range of 0 to 24, but there's no specific besides that, and you can focus on specific sub-age ranges or sub-age groups as long as it's sufficiently justified. And is it necessary for the intervention to be digital? Yeah, this leans a little bit on one of the very first questions that we had. It should primarily be a digital intervention, aimed at counteracting these addictive design patterns, enabling early risk detection, redirecting users to a healthier use of the technology. But it does not rule out any non-digital component, of this primarily digital intervention. And if there is this non-digital component, it would, yes, again, need to be sufficiently justified. Over.
Thank you very much, Tim. So this was the last question we answered during this session. So thank you very much for your participation, so active participation in this session and sending us these very interesting questions. I also would like to thank my colleagues which were connected online for answering all these questions. In case you have more questions or some questions which you send via Slido were not answered during the session, please don't hesitate to send them to us via the network of national contact points or via the research inquiry service. Yeah, what I would like to also announce that we will have now a short break, 10 minutes break, and after the break, the session for Destination 4 will start. So thank you very much for your participation and good luck in submitting proposals to our topics. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to this info session on Destination 4 of Cluster 1 of Horizon Europe, ensuring access to innovative, sustainable and high-quality healthcare. My name is Carmen Laplaza and I am the Head of Unit of Health Innovations and Ecosystems in DG Research and Innovation of the European Commission. Before starting with the question, let me please introduce the panel of colleagues who will be helping me address the different questions that you might have. I have here with me Hélène Le Borgne, Destination Leader of Destination 4. I have also Martin Uriarte, Policy Officer, both of them, Hélène and Martin, working in Health Innovations and Ecosystems Unit. And it's my pleasure also to welcome Lieve Vos, who is a Policy Officer in another unit of DG Research and Innovation called Innovation, Policy and Access to Finance. She's an expert on innovation procurement. So, Destination 4 is the Horizon Hub for research and innovation in healthcare systems. The main objective of this destination is to support the transformation of healthcare systems, ensuring fair and inclusive access to high quality and sustainable healthcare for all. During this session, we will tackle two topics to be funded in 2026. The first one, which we will call the PPI topic, it's the public procurement of innovative solutions for improving citizens' access to healthcare through integrated or personalized approaches. It's a topic with a budget close to 25 million euros. And the second topic is a research and innovation action that aims to identify and address low-value care in health and care systems with a budget of 38 million euro. Let me remind you that in the website of the Info Day, you can still find the videos with a bit more of information on the destination and on the topic. So if you didn't have the opportunity to watch them before, they are still available there. Please note as well that during this session, we are going to focus on the content of the topics, as the cross-cutting or horizontal issues were already tackled in a session this morning that you can always hear back because they have been recorded. And I think that now we can jump into the questions. I encourage you to add them into a Slido and indicate, if possible, the topic name or the number so that it is easier to allocate the questions to the different panelists. So we can move to the first one, where the question is about whether it would be possible to know if part of the EU funding could be dedicated to procure the innovative solution. And actually, of course, this is indicated in the topic. The budget can be certainly allocated
50% of the cost for those for procuring them, but we can also co-finance the activities to prepare the procurement, to run the procurement, and to do all the activities around that to make it happen. And for both of these type of activities, the funding rate is the same, 50%. But of course, if you say, I am already financed, I'm a public servant, for example, by my institution, I will fill in the costs for my activities that I do during the project to prepare the procurement, but actually my organization could use the money for something else, like to fund the procurement cost, then you can do that. Then you can get from us co-financing both for the coordination activities and the procurement cost, but you can use then the additional co-financing that you can get from us for the coordination activities to actually fund your procurement cost a bit more than just at 50%. That's up to you.
Thanks a lot, Lieve. Crystal clear. The second question will be for Martin, and it's about the research and innovation action, asking whether cancer-focused proposals or any other specific disease areas are in the scope of this topic.
Thank you, Carmen, and good morning or good afternoon again to our viewers today. So indeed, there is nothing on the topic test that would prevent proposals to focus on a specific disease areas or even a specific healthcare settings, including cancer. So the answer is yes. A proposal could be focused on cancer specifically or any other disease areas. In fact, amongst the activities proposed, this topic encourages the identification of instances of low-value care and the address of those instances of low-value care and the reduction of those instances of low-value care in different healthcare settings, in different contexts, and you could also argue in different disease areas. So therefore, the answer is clear. Yes, any proposals focusing on cancer or in any other disease areas should be valid. Over to you.
Thank you, Martin. Next question, I think it's for Ellen, and it's about the PPI topic. Which stakeholders should answer this topic? Can they be academic actors or industry? And I think this points at the specificities of innovation procurement topics.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Carmen, for passing the question. Yeah, this is a specificity of this type of topic, public procurement of innovation. So this type of PPI action targets consortia of procurers, which have a similar need and don't want to procure together the deployment of innovative solutions, in this case, for supporting integration of care or personalized medicine, which means in practice that this topic doesn't provide direct funding to the developers, being industry or academic actors, research organizations, to perform research and development. But they will be able to respond to the call for tenders that will be launched by the consortia of procurers funded under this topic. I hope it helps here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ellen. I think it was very clear. Next question is on the research and innovation action, asking about whether clinical studies are mandatory or are other types of evidence acceptable. And here the answer is very clear. Clinical studies are a possibility if needed and if pertinent and relevant, but it's not a mandatory activity. So that depends on the specific proposal that will be put forward, and it's up to the proposers to decide whether clinical studies could be the best way to provide the evidence. Martin, I don't know if you want to complement that answer.
Nothing to add. I think it's a very clear answer, Carmen. Thank you.
All right, so we move to the next question, which is also on the research and innovation action, asking if the focus limited to clinical low-value care practice, or does it also include administrative or organizational low-value practices?
Yeah, thank you, Carmen. So this is a very good question that we had to think about internally. For this question, I would first of all encourage and suggest applicants to read the definition of low-value care as proposed by the expert group on healthcare for performance assessment, so the HSPA group. They published a report on low-value care where there is a definition of low-value care. I'm going to summarize it, but that says something around low-value care being defined as the overuse, misuse, and underuse of healthcare services that provide little or no health benefit, or where the potential harms exceed the benefits. So, in this context, within this definition of low-value care, proposals that put forward and consider reducing either administrative activities or organizational models that could have a negative impact, that could be driving low-value care activities in healthcare systems, would in that case also, or could in that case be part of the proposals put forward. An example of this, let's say that there is a specific organizational or operational model that is causing that a specific type of recommended therapy or treatment is underused, or the other way around, or there is overuse when there is no clear benefit. So there is a case of low-value care in that case. So in those cases, fixing those organizational, administrative activities that are driving low-value care activities in the healthcare system would be a way to improve healthcare systems in that sense. So yes, they would be within a scope. In short. Over.
Thank you, Martin. Next question, it's a bit as the first one. I will read it and ask Lieve to address it. Is there a possibility to use the EU funding for the procurement of the solution? And if yes, which percentage of the EU budget could be dedicated to it? And it's providing the example of...
You can spend the whole EU budget on the procurement, but not less than 50%. If you get, for example, a 5 million euro grant from us, you should buy at least 2.5 million euro of solutions. And since the funding rate is 50%, we will co-finance half of that 1.25 million euros. And the other 2.5 million euro, you could spend it either also on procurement activities or on coordination activities, and this will also be co-financed at 50%, so it will also be 1.25 million then that you get as funding.
Thank you, Lieve. Next question is on the research and innovation action, and is asking about the level of involvement that is expected from health authorities, payers, providers, or professional bodies.
Yeah. So one of the 3 mandatory activities in this topic mentions that proposals should propose developing or piloting low-value care reduction strategies within specific settings, and strategies that would demonstrate scalability and transferability in different settings across different settings. So within this context, in most cases, a certain level of involvement by healthcare authorities, by providers of healthcare services, healthcare professionals, even insurers and patients and so on, will probably be needed in order to be able to demonstrate and validate the scalability and transferability of these strategies. So yeah, I think we believe that some sort of involvement in one way or another of health authorities, payers, providers, and so on, will be required, even if it is not a full, if they are not full of the members of the consortia, but there should at least be some involvement in terms of consultations and or pilots and so on. Over.
Thank you, Martin. Next question also in this topic. It mentions that the topic suggests considering alternative funding models. Can they be theoretical level models without the requirement to be piloted in real life setting?
Yeah. So here I'm afraid there is probably not a very clear-cut answer, except that applicants development these alternative payment models will again need to demonstrate scalability and transferability in one way or another again. So there is no clear answer in this case, but I think what we can say is that we encourage proposals to have some kind of pilots or case studies in place. But in any case, if the applicant or the proposals put forward proposals where the evaluation of alternative models, where they can argue or they can discuss and explain ways of evaluating alternative payment models without any practical pilots, case studies, and so on, just with some sort of theoretical framework or model. If they can put such proposal, then it will be up to the evaluation committee to decide whether that proposal is credible and there is credibility for the possibility of scalability and transferability of such alternative payment models.
Thank you, Martin. The next question is on the PPI and is asking, in the past, some pre-commercial procurement actions were funded by the EU RNI funding, and several of these actions have just finished or are about to finish. Is this PPI topic a follow-up topic for these PCPs, Ellen?
Yeah, it's a very relevant question. Indeed, it's true. We have been funding in the past or currently still some pre-commercial procurement actions. But having said that, this PPI topic is not necessarily a follow-up topic on these PCPs, which are finishing. But it's true that if the tools developed under these PCPs are mature enough, and if the consortia of procurers come together or enlarge, for example, and want to deploy them jointly, then this consortia can apply together to procure them and deploy them jointly. So this is possible. Having said that, it doesn't preclude other procurers not involved in the recent PCPs to apply jointly around common needs, same needs, other needs, as long as they meet the objectives, obviously, that we have set in the topic text around integrated care and personalized medicine.
Thank you, Ellen. I don't know if, Libe, you want to complement that answer? No?
No, that was very clear, I think.
Great. All right. So now the next question is again on the research and innovation action. Is it imperative for proposals to implement interventions to reduce low-value care in the clinical setting? Would a proposal that only uses data to identify low-value care activities and develop strategies be admissible?
The answer is no. Implementation activities are not imperative. However, developing and piloting low-value care reduction strategies is highly encouraged on this topic in order to demonstrate the benefits in specific settings. So one, as we said, one of the activities proposed or activities within the scope of this topic is to develop such develop and/or pilot innovative strategies for effective reduction of low-value care. So, in short, piloting innovative strategies is clearly encouraged, since the text mentions that, again, there should be a demonstration of the transferability and scalability of such strategies. But implementations, and sorry, furthermore, the topic also encourages the use of implementation science as well. So it is not imperative, but it is encouraged. That's the short answer. Over.
Thank you, Martin. Next question is also on this same topic, and it is to request clarification regarding this topic, specifically concerning the possibility of establishing synergies with a nationally funded project. It's no overlap of activities and no risk of double funding.
Yeah. So I think the answer here is that indeed collaborations, including international collaborations, are encouraged. So we mentioned things like collaborations on registries, on best practice, transfer activities, and so on. So collaborations are very much encouraged. So there is no problem with it. Obviously, as long as there is no overlap, that we are not replicating same activities, and that there is no double funding. So that should be obviously made sure that there is no double funding on those collaborations.
Thank you. So next question is about the main differences in funding conditions for pre-commercial procurement versus public procurement of innovation. Well, the main difference is the funding. For pre-commercial procurement, we are funding 100%, whereas for PPIs, which is the case of this topic, we are funding 50%. I don't know, Libe, if you want to complement or if you see other specific difference that could be mentioned.
Well, another main difference is the scope, of course, where the pre-commercial procurements, there is still research and development and testing and comparing, and you can deploy a small amount of projects, but not a large amount of projects in these R&D procurements. The scope of a PPI procurement is not anymore on R&D. It is really on deployment, and their deployment can be even large scale, very large scale even deployments. So that's a bit of the other big difference, scope and funding rate, I would say.
Thank you. Next question is for Martin again, I believe. It's not precise, but I would think it's more for that topic. And he's asking about the difference between health and care systems and healthcare organizations.
Yeah. I'm going to try to provide a definition here the best I can, Liv, but obviously this will also be available in the FAQ after in a more precise way. But I think for the purpose of this topic, healthcare organizations are specific healthcare organizations are part of healthcare systems. So healthcare system is a wider entity than healthcare organizations. So healthcare systems can be healthcare organizations, meaning healthcare facilities, hospitals, you name it. But it can also be public health public health organizations, but it can also be the healthcare professionals within the healthcare systems. It can also be the healthcare infrastructures, meaning IT infrastructures and any other kind of infrastructures. It can be social care organizations as well, and so on. So in summary, and we will kind of detail this more specifically and in more detail in the FAQ, but in summary, healthcare organizations are just are part of a bigger concept that is the whole healthcare system that would include organizations, but also other entities like agencies, infrastructures, and so on.
And we are running out of time, so we are going to take the very last question that should be addressed quite quickly if possible. Is about same topic again, and what do we expect with pilot strategies if not a clinical study?
Yeah. So again, clinical studies in this topic are not mandatory at all, although they could be part of the topic. By pilot studies, we would expect trying in real in real life context some of the strategies proposed, testing them and validating them, or assessing them and validating them without the need of a formal clinical study. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think it does. Thanks a lot. Well, and we are getting to the end. I would like to thank you for all your engagement and very interesting and relevant questions. I would like to thank also my three colleagues for having been there and answering very rightly to all these questions. And just remind you that you can ask still other questions through your national contact points. You can also reach out to the Enquire service or check in the participant portal. Of course, to end, I would just like to wish you a lot of success with the preparation of the proposal, and thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to this info session on Destination 5. My name is Arjon van Hengel. I'm the destination leader for this particular destination, which is entitled Developing and Using New Tools, Technologies and Digital Solutions for a Healthy Society. So together with my colleagues that I will introduce now, we will answer, or at least try to answer the questions you might have to the different topics that are open in 2026. So I'm joined online by my colleagues Anna-Pia Papageorgiou and Christian Descent. We're all working in the unit Health Innovations and Ecosystems of the DG Research and Innovation in the European Commission. So on the slide here, you will see the topics that are open this year under Destination 5. These are 4 different topics. The first one is called Integration New Approach Methodologies to Advance Biomedical Research and Regulatory Testing. This is the Research and Innovation Action. It has a budget of around 50 million euros, and the project sizes are listed here on the expected sizes on the slide. Then we have a topic called Pilot Actions for Follow-on Funding, Leveraging EU-funded collaborative research in regenerative medicine. This is an innovation action with a total budget of close to 30 million euros. And then we have, furthermore, 2 CSAs. So the first one is called Support to European Research Area Action on Accelerated New Approach Methodologies to Advance Biomedical Research and Testing of Medicinal Products and Medical Devices, with a budget of nearly 3 million euros. And the last one is also a CSA entitled Establishing a European Network of Centers of Excellence for Advanced Therapies Medicinal Products, with a budget of nearly 4 million euros. On this last one, we also recently had a webinar. So anybody interested in this particular topic, I would urge to look at the HDEA website and to rewatch the recording of this webinar, where we provide a lot more information. So now we will go over to the questions that have been submitted by you. And I will ask my colleagues that are very knowledgeable about these 4 topics to provide you as good as they can with answers to these topics. So the first question is related to tool 3.
Up to the industry, the pharmaceutical industry in this case, for example, if it's a drug, and up to the regulators to be able to accept the methodology that would allow, let's say, the methodology needs to be validated in order to prove that it could serve for safety, efficacy, or quality assessment of the drug.
Okay, thank you very much, Christian. So we move over to the next question, which is on tool 04. The description states that proposals should take into account the work of projects funded under topic Horizon Health 2023 tool 0503. What's the extent of collaboration that's expected there exactly? Anna-Pia, could you try to answer that question, please?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, thank you. I think this is for Christian, not for me.
Okay.
I'm 0507.
Yeah, actually, we don't have a topic called tool 04.
Oh, this.
Okay, let's move over to the next question. So this is on tool 05. So that is the one on the follow-up funding. Is it enough to have preclinical validation? And this one is for you, Anna-Pia.
Yes, this one is for me. So I am assuming here a little bit in that question that is preclinical validation in the proposal and not for the work to be done in the project. As we have mentioned, it is important here that we are looking at supporting from TRL5 onwards in the proposal. So that would mean that all lab validation has been done, and this is really about moving into the clinical setting.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is on tool 03. The granting authority may, up to 4 years after the end of the action, object to a transfer. Could you please clarify in which situations this may occur and what implications this has at implementation level? Christian, would you be able to answer this question? IP rights, probably related to a possibility of a takeover of an SME, for instance, and then, of course, the transfer of the IP. So there's the possibility for the Commission to object to that particular transfer. But it's all depending on the circumstances, on the particular situation, for the Commission to assess that particular situation and to see if there's any reason to object that. So let's move on to the next question, which is on tool 03. Is it necessary to address both the use case for biomedical research and the regulatory safety assessment? Christian?
No, it could be either one, or it could be either biomedical research or regulatory safety testing.
Okay, thank you very much. Very clear answer. The next question is also on tool 03. Please clarify the role of clinical studies in tool 03. How can clinical studies be integrated in this topic, particularly in light of the R&D and regulatory focus of the NAMs? How does this fit?
We could imagine a proposal where they would go up to from preclinical up to clinical studies, and then but we don't expect a lot of proposals addressing let's say all the development up to clinical studies. But in case there are clinical studies, yes, they should clarify the role.
Okay, thank you. Next question is also on tool 03. Is the JRC ECFAM's involvement requested to be included in the proposal from the beginning or just after, if the proposal is funded?
It is after.
Okay, very clear as well. Next question again for you on tool 03. If the proposal involves comparing patients' tissues with iPSC-derived 3D tissue models, should the clinical study template be provided with the proposal?
If there is no clinical study, it's not necessary.
Okay, thank you. The next question is not for a particular topic as far as I can see. For the 2026 Cluster 1 health calls, will there be specific topics focusing on innovative molecular biomarkers such as extracellular vesicles for cancer diagnosis or stratification? Well, I think we're talking now about the topics that are open, that are mentioned in the work program. And this is basically the 4 topics under Destination 5 for this year. So the next question, would our project still align well with the Tool 3 central goal if fit expected outcomes 1 to 3.5 NAMs to researchers, industry access, patient benefit, build regulatory trust, but has weak to no reduction in animal use? Christian?
Yes, the proposal may still be aligned with the central objectives of the call, even if the expected direct reduction in animal use is limited, provided that it convincingly contributes to several of the expected outcomes of the topics as indicated in the call. So we don't necessarily have to cover all the expected outcomes. So proposals addressing biomedical applications where no relevant animal models are available, may still be in line with the objective of the call if the proposed norms enhance disease modeling precision, for example.
Okay. So the next one is on tool 05, pilot actions for follow-on funding, leveraging EU-funded collaborative research in regenerative medicine. Should all the activities start at TRL 5, Anna-Pia?
I think this is an innovation action. So I think it's different to research and innovation action, and therefore it should really be focused on moving the research into the innovation space and closer to market or deployment. Of course, if there is a justification that can convince an expert panel that something that isn't a TRL5 is still of value to the proposal, then that could be considered within a project. However, given the scope of this topic, it would have to be very compelling, and would have to show that it really demonstrates into this product development or service development that is getting closer to patients.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's more possibilities for you to submit the questions. Okay, the new question on tool 03. Regarding AI analysis, is it necessary to build predictive models and/or digital twin systems, or is it sufficient to build AI models that only analyze complex biomedical data and extract significant features from them? Christian?
Well, you don't have to have both AI and digital twin systems, so it's either one or two of these. And in terms of AI models, it should be predictive modeling, at least.
Okay, thank you. The next question is also on topic tool 3. How important are the ethical activities and in which terms? Do you suggest to have a specific work package for the ethical topic?
It's up to the applicant to develop a work package on ethics. Here, ethical activities are important as in any other call text or call topic. But here, the ethical dimension is, of course, well, it doesn't differ too much from the other topics, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Christian. We will see if there are more questions for you coming in. If that is not the case, then we will close the session now. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I would like to thank my colleagues, Christian and Anna-Pia, for their answers to all your questions that you've raised. I would also like to wish you a lot of success with preparing proposals. We are very much looking forward to high quality proposals in order to fund them, of course, and to move forward on the European level in terms of research and innovation. Make use of all the IT tools and the information that we have online. Look at the frequently asked questions also. Look at the webinar on the one particular topic that I mentioned before. And again, all the best of luck with preparing your proposals. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this info session on Destination 6 of Horizon Europe Health Cluster. I am Tomasz Dylong. I work in the European Commission, Directorate General for Research and Innovation. And in this session, I will have the pleasure to be joined by my colleague Francesco Florindri, Policy Officer in the same Directorate General, in charge of this destination. Destination 6 has several objectives. One of them is to speed up the uptake of new innovations and making them available faster to patients by providing the evidence and guidelines to stakeholders, including to policymakers and to the regulators. In this destination, this year we have just one topic open. It is on regulatory science to support translational development of patient-centered health technologies. It is a research and innovation action following the single-stage procedure with the deadline on 16th of April this year. The aim of this topic is to update the technologies and methodologies of regulatory science, either by improving the existing methodologies or by looking at new types of data and evidence which could be useful for regulatory decision-making. And one important exclusion, clinical studies themselves are excluded from the scope of this topic. We have close to 20 million euro available for proposals submitted, and with the recommended project size of 4 to 6 million, we expect to be able to fund probably 4 proposals. You have the possibility to submit questions using the Slido, which you can see in the screen. So please feel free to ask for whatever you may think would help you prepare good proposals. And I believe we can already go ahead with the questions we can see. So the first one is on what type of health technologies are included in the topic, with the specification whether the pharmaceutical products are covered. Francesco, please. Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, I could not hear your answer, but I assume it's covered. So let us go to the second question. How far beyond today's regulatory rules are projects expected to go when formulating the recommendations under this topic?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's fine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, perfect. So that depends. That very much depends. You know, the ambition to which the project provides regulatory support and recommendations really depends on the status of the technology itself that the proposals will define within themselves. So we leave it to the applicants to decide up to which level they want to go further with these recommendations. But it very much depends on the level of existing regulation for the technologies that they will include into their proposals.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let's wait a while until maybe other questions are coming up. So, and if anyone in the audience would like to ask something to get clarity on any aspect of the topic, the time is now. We have a question. Are high-quality data platforms for the establishment of AI or synthetic data or virtual patient cohorts for accelerated regulatory approval and access to ATMP development, whether these are in scope of this call? Francesco.
So the call is very much focused on the regulatory side and developing methodologies on the evidence that we can use for these novel technologies. So creating new platforms per se doesn't seem to be in scope. However, if these platforms are interesting and useful for the data from these platforms is relevant from a regulatory science standpoint, that might be the case. But the establishment of the data platform themselves it's not in scope.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a request that we should maybe come back to the very first question because there was a sound problem. So again, what type of health technologies are covered and whether the pharmaceutical products are included? So Francesco, if you could maybe tell us more.
The topic is focused mostly on non-pharmaceutical, so medical devices, AI, digital health tools, substance of human origins, so not pharmaceuticals. But of course, there can be the interplay between pharmaceutical products and medical technologies. For example, non-binding combined products, those would be in scope. So non-pharmaceutical only, it's not in scope, but attached to other technologies would be covered.
Okay, thank you. I believe that should be clear now. I don't know whether we have any more questions. Yes. It is written in the call topic that clinical studies are out of scope. So to do a pilot in a regulatory sandbox, we need existing data for the assessment of the health technology, retrospective or synthetic. Is then the clinical annex needed?
That's a very good question. I believe, and Thomas, I'm virtually looking at you, that this would in fact be the case, but we can come back with more details and these questions in a future Q&A.
Indeed, let's do it like this. Thank you. So we'll come back to this question and put it on the website for this topic. The next question, would a project establishing a regulatory science platform for biomarker validation, qualification and secure data sharing, enabling faster, reliable translation of biomarkers into clinical applications be eligible?
So again, the project is mostly focused on the regulatory and science part. So as I read it, this seems to be in scope. But of course, we wait for the proposal to come.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any further questions coming right now, but let's wait for potential interested applicants to submit any other requests for clarifications. Not yet anything coming. So in the meantime, let me take the opportunity to recommend that if you have in the future any further questions coming up, you can either contact the national contact point in your country of your choice, or you can submit the question through the research inquiry service, which is available on the participant portal. We have another question on the international collaboration. Are international comparisons with low and middle income countries, frugal innovation and other global countries of interest for this call? Francesco.
So yes, international collaboration is included, it's encouraged. And I would say that while this is not the main focus of the topic, it sounds like it could be in scope. But then again, we might come back with a more detailed question in the Q&A on the specific topic.
Thank you. And the next one. Are health technologies related to drug treatment, digital therapies, in scope if they are medical devices driven by AI?
Again, as the question is phrased, it seems that the answer was yes. But then again, it depends very much on the way that it is phrased in the proposal. But in principle, yes, digital therapies and AI medical devices are in scope.
Yeah, so maybe indeed, let me complement here. It is always useful in the proposal to clarify the exact scope of the topic, and in the case of this topic, especially the applicable regulatory framework. If that would be the framework for medical devices, so MDR, IVDR, that would be in scope of this topic indeed. Thank you for the questions. Unless we have any other questions, yes. Would indoor air quality monitoring technologies with AI integration in clinical settings or cultural settings, I believe, be eligible?
This is very specific, and so as we're focusing mostly on innovative technologies that are, again, I fail to see a little bit of the regulatory pathway here, but Tomasz, maybe you can, it doesn't seem to be very much in scope, but maybe you have a different opinion.
We recommend is to explain very well in the proposal how these technologies would fall in scope of what is requested in the topic as described in the work program. Because ultimately it is hard to give a yes-no answer based on a, two-line question. However, the evaluators in the panel will have full information, and based on that, they will judge whether the proposal is in scope and to what extent it fulfills the requirements of the topic. Let's go to the next question. For the regulatory sandbox pilot under development in a member state, do you expect that a pilot simulation with notified bodies, regulators, industries, and patients, do you expect a pilot simulation to take place already during the project?
Yeah, so the project clearly states that they really want to see the broadest participation as possible. So encouraged to have notified bodies, all the regulators, patient associations, and industry participating. So the answer would be yes. Clearly it's in scope. It's possible and encouraged to have multiple partners in the project, including regulators.
Thank you. The next question is also a bit about the scope. Is the policy goal to contribute to new, I believe, patient-centric template path for digital medical devices? I don't know, Francesco, whether you're able to answer.
Yeah, one of the objectives is to facilitate the uptake of personalized medicine features. So again, depending, as Thomas said before, depending on the exact formulation in the proposal, and we recommend you to be as clear as possible. Yes, patient-centered approaches would be in scope within the topic.
Thank you. Let's wait for any further questions potentially coming up. I don't see any. So that would mean that we have reached the end of this session and at the same time the end of the whole event. So let me thank you for your interest in Horizon Europe calls. Thank you very much for watching. I would also like to thank my colleagues from the European Commission and from the HADEA Executive Agency for making this event possible. The recordings will be available online. And I would also like to encourage everyone to have a look at the main website of the event. There is a questionnaire by which we are asking for your feedback on how we can improve similar events in the future. And with that, what remains for me is to wish you good luck with the preparation of your proposals and then with the submission and hopefully selection process. Thank you.